And good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining me. David Dubine right here, Brighteon TV, coming at you from the other side of the planet in Taiwan right now. Today, the two largest stories that will define the rest of 2024. The Bitcoin halving is coming up and institutional money is running into it. We're going to watch the banks empty out. If you thought the flows into the money markets from regular deposit accounts took the banking system down, it's all going to gravitate over into these Bitcoin ETFs. And what does that mean for our world? Before the break, these two events are going to define the rest of our 2024. Obviously, the farmer strikes, the food pricing, the realization of farmers that actually control the food, that can control the citizens to make and facilitate change in the government. That's one. Second one here was the Bitcoin halving, which I talked about just slightly before the break. Capital flows, capital moves to where it is wanted most and where it returns most, just like love. So the entire banking contagion thing just a simple 30,000 foot view here. Last year, there was a huge amount of banks that went under, and you heard about a bank collapse. Is it a second Lehman Brothers thing? Is it another 2008? Oh, a huge amount of banks collapsed. Well, simple mathematics. You're giving 0.25%, and then suddenly these money markets opened up giving 5%. That money flowed, and those banks collapsed. From that simple 4.75% gain versus leaving the money into a traditional bank account, savings account, checking account. Now, U.S. money market flows are starting to see outflows as this Bitcoin ETF thing rockets and takes off. So it had its moment. It had its 15 minutes there, for a better term. Money markets, they're losing. It's all flowing to Bitcoin ETFs. So if you thought the jump from banking account to money market was a big thing, it's going to go bank account to crypto, bank account. Oh, wait, money market going to crypto too. The entire system is going to siphon into this Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs that are coming up here, all controlled in Wall Street. So it's regulated. So it can be, wealth managers can actually suggest it to your mom and dad. Can suggest it to you for a very stable long-term, growth strategy in your portfolio. You should allocate 5% for Bitcoin now. But wait, 2 months ago, you told me it was just for illicit gains and it's going to go to zero. Like, wait, huh? Did we not hear that? For years and years and years, it's going to zero. It's just for criminals. It's illicit. And now they're offering it as a prime product on Wall Street. Gaslighting, I would say. Well, actually, probably a few other words, descriptors that I could slide in there, but this is a family-friendly program, so I'll just leave it there. Financial Times kind of break it down. 1.3 trillion left regular depositors like savings, checking, into the money market accounts, and it collapsed all those banks, 1.3 trillion. And everything you saw in the news was just because of that. And they were offering, like I say, a 5% yield compared to a 0.25%. That's 1.3 trillion. How much money do you think is going to leave over into these? Once you start seeing it on the news, people are doubling and tripling their money by going into a Bitcoin ETF. An Ethereum ETF. And I'm waiting for other kind of altcoin ETFs to open also once they get the regulation. Now, in addition to this, the stock market's hit these all-time highs. Like the S&P, look at this craziness here. All-time highs. Everything has hit. The NASDAQ was at an all-time high. Dow Jones, all-time high. Everything at all-time highs. So, as a signals trader, or if you just understand markets, it can't stay there for too long. It's going to be coming back down. The Fed took the punch bowl away from the party again. The stock market's been betting on March rate cuts, but not so fast. Is this why JP Morgan and UBS are calling for a 23% drop in the S&P? The recession indicator's ringing its most severe alarm in 40 years. Call the proud American to the Patriot Gold Group today before it's too late. Mention the Adapt 2030 channel. You're going to get some great in-class service. Also, Patriot Gold Group has a no fee for life IRA where your IRA or 401k can be in physical gold or silver.
No fee for life IRA on qualifying rollovers. Give them a call, 888-546-7020. And now on with the video.
Unless the Fed starts to ease rates, and then there's a huge amount of money getting pumped back in. But if you get are you going to pump that money back in for 2 or 3%? Or are you going to pump that money back in for 100% and jump over to those same ETF possibilities that just amazing, just, back up the semi-trailer gains are coming in versus your little sandbox wagon with your sand shovel at the beach? That's the equivalent of the amount of money to be made by institutional money and those that see it that are going to be recommended to jump in there, because all these portfolio traders and all these wealth managers are going to want to keep their customers. Hey, I know we lost some money last year, but I guaranteed the ETFs are going to hit this year. I can help you make back what you lost last year and all that bad calls I made because, I was following the experts. Those kind of crowd is going to try to convince those people to jump in to make the money back they lost in the last couple of years because of the banking collapses. It's going to be something monumental. Borderline supernatural is what it's going to be. A supernatural money movement event. Wealth concentration event. It will be borderline supernatural when you watch this happen. Now, the dollar might collapse during this time, or it'll hyperinflate away. It'll be one of the two. It won't disappear, but something very strange is going to happen with this. And Bank of America and Wells Fargo also offering Bitcoin ETFs to their clients. Who would have ever thought? You must have fallen off a two-story building and hit your head if you would have thought Bank of America and Wells Fargo and BlackRock and all these other large banks would offer Bitcoin ETFs. It was just for criminals a year ago. But who would have known? Drink the Kool-Aid. And also, Fidelity is also going to open their own. Fidelity, they have this like stable, very stable investment platform. It's the bedrock. It's the cornerstone. It's like a 50-year investment program. It's like incremental gains of, the top 20 blue chips or something, and then they try to, balance it with something incredibly stable. They're offering this Bitcoin ETF in that platform now. The travesty of it all. Oh. And yeah, can I get you BlackRock Bitcoin ETF massive inflow while Grayscale, another Bitcoin ETF, sees the second largest outflow on record. We're talking about 10,000 Bitcoin flew in, moving around in a single day. So who's pulling on and who's moving all this into poise themselves ready? Like, you got to realize one or a couple of different points here. To run the ETF, you actually have the underlier. So your ETF has to have the Bitcoin in the wallet address. You can't just say, we got a Bitcoin ETF, but if you don't have any underlier, you actually have Bitcoin in the wallet somewhere in a cold wallet off, cold storage. Then you can offer the product. So do you think about the amount of money with endless pockets, bottomless pit pockets coming in that will bid this thing up to anything to get it, to be able to have it to operate their ETFs on the regular exchange traded markets? We're battling institutional money here. This thing right now, $2 trillion approximately in the crypto space. The way this thing is looking to run out, it's going to be $100 trillion by the end of this Bitcoin halving in the bull run for the next year and a half, 2 years, if you follow the past trends in that first chart I showed you. We're talking about a 50 times increase in the amount of money going in the entire ecosystem here. It doesn't matter what you would touch, it would go up. That's the whole thing. That's why so much money is going to be diverted in here. Do you think Johnny over there that was going to put the $100 just as a beginning saver is going to put it into a bank account to get 0.25%? They already know how to flip and, put market orders in on their apps on their phone through Robinhood. That money is going into the crypto space. The banks are going to get drained. Traditional finance and institution, you talk about bank runs. I firmly believe that the way the movement was set up to allow the ETFs is at least part of the play to collapse the system. Because the amount of money that's going to move out of our traditional banks into this is going to flow so fast, it is going to be like a lightning shock and awe event. If I can't overstate it either enough, we're going to witness history here. This is a history. This is going to be the fastest movement transfer of wealth of one category into another in the fastest period of time in all of human history that will occur in the next year and a half or under. You're going to witness things are going to collapse in a day, and an entire industry would have completely gone out of business. So what is going to happen with our banks? That's the question. And they already got the CBDCs, or the central bank digital currencies, right on the sideline waiting for bank collapses to insert and bail you out. But all the money, an enormous amount of money. And, I talked about the Bitcoin. This is list after list after list of new ones. There's something like 24 of them now. So I just did a couple screen grabs off the page. You can go to Verify, and there's a huge amount of websites that are carrying all these. There's 4 more pages, which I didn't screen grab, of these Bitcoin ETFs. Now, not a lot of them have billions in there. Some of them have tens of millions, hundreds of millions under custodianship. But this is definitely going to rise. So if we're looking at the top ones here that were, say, a month ago, 2 months ago, these were the top players in the space here. The Grayscale, the ProShares, MicroStrategy is in there, BlackRock also. And you're looking at billions. All right. So this is going to go from 20. These are going to reach hundreds of billions at the end of this run here. All ships rise in a high tide, for a better term. So a lot of people were anticipating that this pre-halving run-up would only bring us to like 50,000 or something, or a little under 45,000, and then it would get that tail off, which most times, if you look at those last 3 cycles, kind of runs up into the halving, and then there's this crash just before that, and then after the halving, another 2 months after that crash, and then it takes off to new all-time highs. This is a different animal we're playing with here. This one's already nearly all-time highs 2 months out before the halving. So something very, very, very different in play, but that would be expected with all this institutional money come rolling in. So we'll get some numbers here. The largest candle in the monthly history of Bitcoin. It's like up $20,000 for the month. And you're getting 0.25% in your bank account. And this thing went up 20K in a single month. Okay. So you can already see institutions salivating. People, just mom and dad, mom and pop, are going to wake up to the fact. I'm just waiting for the day that all 350 million Americans understand that crypto is a viable thing, and they go, oh, I got some extra money. I like to toy with that. I want to dip my toe in the water. I want to exit out of some of my 401k. Oh, let's take out the 5,000 from the bank that's laying there. It's just gathering dust for 0.25%. Let's take that 5,000 and throw it into something. What if you had 200 million people take $5,000 out of the bank, cash? That means that reserve ratio needs to reflect that. Now, I'm still unsure if there's a 0 reserve ratio or if it's still 2% or what. But anyway, the drawdown in our banking system would be stupendous at best. There's going to be gargantuan shifts, and get ready for a full contagion in the banks on this. That's the reason I'm trying to show you the information. The wealth that's going to move out of what you consider cash dollars in your bank, it's going to shake the bedrock of our banking system. It's not going to be like, oh, they'll balance it and then things are going to flow back in, and everything will collapse of banks except the bigs that are still holding the ETFs, that also, like JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, these really big banks that are here. Everything else below that will just turn and evaporate to ashes. That's the kind of action I'm talking about as this money flows in. Then what? You're going to do all these bank bail-ins. They're going to do banking holidays. Well, it won't affect the ETFs because it's only banking holidays. It's only your ability to withdraw money out of your ATM from your local bank, not the ETF. That disbursement out of there, TD Ameritrade will take care of you. You can wire funds anywhere across the planet. That's not getting money out of your ATM, which would be locked. And another thing that's happening too is if you think that money was just moving out of traditional accounts, money markets, etc., it's moving out of other ETFs also over to Bitcoin ETF right now. Check this out. After the gold ETFs launched, they got a staggering amount of money in the gold ETFs because people were seeking stability. Okay, makes sense. You're looking at a degrading dollar. The war is never ending. We're definitely not going to be able to barely pay the interest on things over $1 trillion a year. We've got to keep printing. Nobody wants our debt. They're moving BRICS is moving to a completely off-chain SWIFT alternative, which an enormous amount of countries will go to. They're not going to need the dollar anymore. Once they get off, that's the biggest thing is they're not setting up a new currency right now with the BRICS. They're setting up an entirely new payment system for countries to interoperate from their own native currencies to swap or pay off debts. They won't need SWIFT anymore, which means they won't need to hold dollars anymore. This is all coming at the end of the year here too. They're slated to roll this thing out, or the beginning rollout here. I guess it's the next BRICS summit coming up September. There's a fully operational parallel system to SWIFT, which means it's outside sanctions. Nobody will need to hold the dollars. They're going to come flowing home. All this is happening right now in this year, in these next few months, in addition to all the cataclysmic weather changes we're seeing. Keep your eye on the money. Don't worry about the weather. You'll eat later, I guess. But this is the split and divergence of that white line is the gold ETF money decreasing as people pull the money out and throw it into that blue line. That blue line is a Loch Ness monster, scalded dog, vertical. This is where the money goes. Every chart looks like that. It is so bizarre. Everybody that's in the ecosystem talking about this is like, whoa. Never seen anything like this before. This is not a 6 Sigma event. This is like a 50 Sigma event. Something on the once in a 10,000 year type of event here. And in monetary terms, it would be. You think about started trading shells and feathers and things. But then in addition to the Bitcoin ETF that's going on, there's 9 new Ethereum ETFs they're going to kick off also. So either way, you're looking at another draw off what was considered stock market. Would you rather sit there and try to scrape a 2 to 5% gain for the whole year holding your shares of company A? Or would you almost instantly sell those and know, this thing's going to double? Once it doubles, I'll figure out what I want to do later with the money. But right now, I know this thing's going to double. Not me at financial advice. I'm just saying in the ecosystem, if you're looking at this and the entire Wall Street crowd's talking about this thing going up, not just one time, they're talking like 10x, 20, 100x gains on certain things. I'm like, what are these guys smoking over there? But the FOMO, that fear of missing out, and the drive for people to try to make up money and exist in this inflating environment is going to drive them to see something that they're pretty sure they can make a gain on. And they're going to roll the dice and throw a few thousand in, a few whatever. There's really going to be no money outside the crypto ecosystem except the gold and silver and the real estate. But I would imagine a huge sell down in stocks too, and that money is just going to move over. It's just going to swap on the exchange there. TD Ameritrade, you just sell there, sell your Apple shares and move it over into the BlackRock ETF. Oh, that took me about 3 minutes. Now the ETFs are coming up for Ethereum too, so watch Ethereum run. It's going to move up. If they're expecting Bitcoin to go from where it is 60 to pull back maybe 50, ultimate at 250,000 for this bull run here with this cycle, then Ethereum at least 10,000. If you're going to follow some of the similar math, then perhaps even 20,000 for Ethereum. Like the amount of money, once it starts making money and they start seeing these massive gargantuan numbers coming in, there's no way that this is not going to hoover up every available penny. People are going to be searching the streets for pennies to put it in because a penny could turn into $1. This is something that really has never been seen before. And Standard Charter is going to be starting to offer this. And let's go back to a slide here. How will the price react? So the first one of these is going to be beginning in May. That's generally when the pullback period is after the halving, or the halving is going to be in May sometime. Not exactly sure the date. It's 50 days somewhere from now. But after that halving occurs, usually there's a pullback. But with all these new ETFs kicking into gear directly after that halving, I don't even know if there would be, if it's going to follow the same pattern. Now, interestingly, Grayscale, which was the first in the original, had a huge outflow of hundreds of millions as that money moved itself. So, if you got all these same players and you're like, hey, we need this money to borrow to get our ETF started. So you're going to watch a huge amount of money movement through these traditional players that were already entrenched that have their underlier in the wallets. So Coinbase saw $1 billion drawn out of it, also of Bitcoin. Where did it go? Who knows? Nobody knows. They're trying to do some on-chain analysis. Again, that's why I was mentioning Arkham, Sam Altman's, coin or development. That thing is just, I've never seen anything like it with on-chain analysis. I mean, sheesh, just really you're at Star Trek level technology using this on-chain analysis thing, Arkham. This is a game changer right here. I'm really not too high on any of these coins mostly, but I mean, this one, sheesh, blows your back in your chair after the, ooh. So try to figure out how many Bitcoin have left. Let me see. Coinbase Pro in the last 24 hours, 16,000 Bitcoin left. Where did it go? Binance gained 1,000 Bitcoin. But you can start to see that there's a massive amount of money moving around here. Everybody's trying to get the base foundation, and they're willing to pay anything for it. That's what I'm saying. This is going to be a different animal. They're going to pay anything for it to get the base layer set, which is going to drive the price up. Then once that base layer is set, all that money is going to come flowing in. And wouldn't you know it, Coinbase is going to offer the yellow card. Wait, do I see Coinbase selling crypto in Africa? Even the Africans are going to get in on the action. Every mom and pop from Europe to America to Australia to South America is going to be in on it, and in Africa. That's what I'm saying. This is a monumental event here. This is going to define human history. The movement of wealth during this Bitcoin halving and subsequent bull run in that next year and a half after. Gold, silver, Bitcoin, real estate, food, water. You're going to need something to barter with, because this could very well be the event that was planned. They planned the farmers to get angry enough to cut the food supply, which was the end goal, to cut the food supply for humanity to use food as a weapon. But getting this ETF, so most people use their own mind to throw all their money into it, collapses the banking system, which was the ploy. They needed to collapse the banking system to bring in the central bank digital currency and the social credit scores. So you could eat and go into the supermarket and use your digital central issuance to buy food. It's all coming together, these two major events, all at the same time in the next 8 months. Thanks for watching. See you next time. David Dubine signing off. Mini Ice Age Conversations, Brighteon TV, every other Friday, 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bye for now.